What's the dumbest rule your school ever enforced? Can't be standing around in groups more than 4. Gang mentality. My gang of 4 found that policy very convenient. Reminds me of the time a teacher absolutely lost her poop because my friend said something like, "Come on, gang." She was convinced she caught a slip up and that she was about to expose some serious 8th grade gang activity. Our school had a rule against colored shoelaces because of gang affiliation. They outlawed bracelets because there was an article in a magazine somewhere saying they advertised what sexual acts you were open for based on their color. Then someone tried to outlaw wristwatches for the same reason. I think I had a Casio calculator watch when I was in school. I wonder what relations act the teachers might have assumed I was up to. OMG, we had the bracelet rule too. So weird. Sex bracelets. Edit. Gtfo. My highest ranked comment is sex bracelets. For reference. My previous highest was about how F-16s are still great jets lol. Thanks for the silver, stranger. We had the bracelet rule too for the same reason. Locked the only boys' bathroom because someone wrote on the wall in Sharpie. It wasn't even anything rude or inappropriate either. It was just the word hi or something like that. Didn't unlock the door until one boy wet himself and parents threatened to sue. That kid really sacrificed himself for everyone else. Not really a rule, but the toilet paper holders are outside of the stalls on a wall. So you have to calculate before taking a crap how much you need and hope that it was enough. Awful and impossible. Banned all backpacks/bags on campus. Students were expected to somehow carry everything they needed in hand. This was especially challenging if you had a non-ideal locker placement. Ours did this too because in college they won't let you carry your bags everywhere. Freaking liars. College professors don't give a shit. My HS did this too. A tripping threat in classrooms apparently. Not sure if the rule still exists there as this was like 10 years ago. We suddenly one day weren't allowed to stand in circles during recess because, and I quote, we could be dealing drugs. I will add that for the years prior we had been standing in circles no problem. Next recess, we stood in a triangle. Cue principal going up a poop. Next day we stood in a square. Principal kept us inside for a week and threatened us all with detentions if we did it again, etc. I believe their idea was open-ended circles so they could see what we were doing. Still stupid. Edit. Wow, this blew up. I should add this was in grade 8 in Canada middle school. Edit 2. After being told by many to post this on malicious compliance, I did. Then it got removed for being against the rules. RIP. Most students who get a recess probably aren't dealing drugs. It's not a circle. It's a quickly counts the 9 students standing there nonagon. I got a suspension for holding a stick. The phone call with my mom went something like this, only slightly dramatized. School. Mrs. The Quack. Your son has been suspended. Mom. Oh my goodness. What did he do? S. He was holding a stick. M. Did he hit someone with it? S. No. He was just holding it. M. Did he threaten to hit someone with it? S. No. Just held it. M. Did he refuse to put it down when you asked? S. No. No. He was very cooperative. M. So, what did he do wrong? S. He held a stick. M. And I should be upset about that? S. Absolutely. You know we have a zero tolerance policy. M. Right. Well, I'll talk with him, as you might guess. I did not get in trouble at home. Something similar happened to my brother when he was a little kid. He found a cool looking rock at recess and wanted to bring it home, so he was carrying it around to put in his backpack when they went inside. When they called my mom, she went down to the school demanding a meeting. The VP claimed it could be used as a weapon, so the second the VP picked up his pen to sign whatever bullpoop punishment he was trying to give, my mom started screaming, "Has got a weapon. Has got a weapon." Because a grown man with a pen can cause a lot more damage than a 6 years old with a rock smaller than his fist. My brother got a light verbal warning. Eater. This is not the first time my mom has had to flip her poop at school officials for us kids. My mom is 51 and 100 pounds soaking wet, and she never missed an opportunity to go to bat for us kids. I had a highly abusive teacher when I was a kid that my mom straight up assaulted in front of the principal, VP, counselor, and 2 security officers on camera. She didn't even get a slap on the wrist. Eater 2. For the people asking why my mom is wet, you'll crack me the hell up. Don't judge her for chasing fish. To those wanting me to tell her that you'll love her. After a lengthy convo, I reminded her of why I was reaching out right now. A bunch of people on Reddit say they love you. Do you have a message for them? My mom responds, what the frick is Reddit? Gots. I love this woman. He has a stick. Call the police Raz or mine starts playing. No farting in class. They would say, if you need to fart then go to the toilet, but then 9 times out of 10, if you ask to go the toilet they'd say no. I remember in 5th grade we would have farting competitions to see who could fart the most during the day. We might have needed this rule. Fart loudly to assert dominance. In my school they decided not to let us students go to the toilet during class. That rule was removed after about a week, when about 99% of the students decided to just stand up after being denied a washroom walk, pee in the pants, and then ask again if the student can go to the washroom. Zero tolerance just means that if someone starts a fight with you, you fight back as hard as you can. You're going to get suspended for defending yourself anyway. Might as well make it worthwhile. In elementary school I literally got chased by a group of about 10 to 15 kids because we were playing Kill the Carrier and I absolutely destroyed one of their friends. So for some reason they decided the game didn't matter at that moment and that they'd all try to fight me. So all I did was run away and head into the school to tell a teacher. And the principal had the audacity to give me their form of detention, no recess for 5 days straight along with all of the other kids. I remember hearing my dad yelling at the principal, since this was like the 4th time I got in trouble for simply defending myself or escaping conflict. Years later I found out he actually cursed her out, and she was standing there in shock. This was ridiculous at my school. A friend who was a fellow app student got suspended for 10 days because she got punched by some girl that had an issue with her. Didn't matter that she didn't touch the other girl. That tons of people witnessed it. Her parents were so mad, but she's a doctor now. So she managed. My little cousin defended himself in a fight and both he and the aggressor got taken out of school in handcuffs and were handed assault charges as juveniles. 14-year-old boy defends himself from bully gets arrested because we need cops and the justice system to handle children fighting. You have to wear your tie all the way home. Some sad illegitimate child teachers would stand on the main road away from the school and try to hand out detentions in presumably their own time. Why even do this? You're not even in the school property. In grade school, we weren't allowed to play on the playground equipment when it snowed. Eventually, we weren't allowed to play with snow or even go near it. I got in trouble for sitting in snow. This was in Minnesota where it snows half the year. Recess basically consisted of milling around the blacktop for 30 minutes. Ah yes, I remember the ridiculous snow rules in MN growing up. In my elementary school we weren't allowed to throw snow or make snowballs of any size including rolling big ones. What ended up happening is that each grade very small class sizes would make their own snow forts from existing snow clumps created by the pros. The demand for snow clumps was furious. And so we would then attack other grade snow forts to get more resources, that is, steal the clumps of snow making up their base, without the ability to throw snowballs. We'd just badislam each other instead. It was chaos, and also likely more dangerous than snowballs lol. And X200B, edit, no. I didn't go to your school. I think MN kids are all just born to badislam each other. Took all the doors off the men's room bathroom stalls because of vandalism for 2 months. Because some kids were vandalizing the school. Everyone has to do with no privacy. How TF does that relate? My friend is an administrator at a private school in NJ and the faculty has to sign in and out of the bathroom using Google Sheets. 9 AM. 10 minutes. MF. Google deuces. When I was in junior school UK boarding school in the 80s, we were not allowed to say okay as it was considered slang and not befitting the young ladies and gentlemen that we should aspire to be. For context, junior school covered ages 5 to 13. We also had to have a comb and a handkerchief on us at all times. On top of that, we weren't allowed to have our hands in our pockets because it looks slovenly. What Victorian boarding school did you go to? Damage school property sounds reasonable enough until you get detention for staining a chair after suddenly getting your period. Oof, that's one of the worst I've seen yet. Happened to a girl in my school, but they quickly reversed it after one they realized she was the daughter of a high school teacher, and to all the boys and girls came forward to complain that she had raised her hand to go to the bathroom and the teacher ignored it. We kept calling his name to get his attention and he just kept teaching class. It was really weird. Anyway, she finally just got up and left. Blood all over the chair. We were kinda freaked out because it was 5th grade and the boys didn't know about periods yet and only a few girls really did. She was the first one in our entire grade. Teacher didn't even clean it up or call anyone. Class ended and we went to the next class and we could hear the class filing and going WTF. Teacher tried to turn her in for leaving class and see reasons above why it didn't work. To our credit, not a single person teased her, and every one of us went to the principal to complain about the teacher. But 10 you know. Playing cards at lunch was prohibited because it promoted gambling. Had the same rule. Most teachers didn't enforce it unless you were actually gambling. No slow dances at the prom. What kind of music did they play? No fighting. Enforced by punishing the kids who were getting hit. Came here to say this. The zero tolerance policy is insane. Imagine this was applied to the real world. Oh, your husband beat you? Both of you can enjoy years in prison. What's that? Mass shooter injured 12 people. We're gonna need a bigger prison. Got mugged in the alley? Believe it or not. Prison. Yep, I literally was walking down the hall in junior high, minding my own business, and some guy who I now suspect had some mental health issues and or abuse at home just laid into me with a series of punches for no reason. A teacher pulled him off me before I could even react. Imagine my surprise when I found out I was suspended too. Even though I hadn't done anything other than get assaulted. I don't understand what that's supposed to teach kids. Luckily for me, my dad thought it was bull deuce too and came and picked me up from school and said just treat today like it's a day off. You deserve it. We weren't allowed to wear thongs. I don't know how they caught people who did, TBH. For a while it was a fad to leave them purposefully visible under low-rise jeans. It wasn't really the rule that was dumb, but the reason for it. In my last year of high school, the school issued a rule that all students had to wear student IDs. If you didn't, you had to immediately go and pay for another ID. While you can see how many students may have saw this a way to skip class, the reason for this was the school shootings that happened the previous year. The reasoning was that it would be easier to spot who is a student and who is not a student, to then see who has malicious intent, except that most shooters were students, so my school did this my junior year because a 60-something mucking something year old man drunk off his ass with a knife came onto campus and sat down in a class. Obviously, IDs are the only way to discern between drunk old men and high schoolers. He got in because the gate guard wasn't doing his job, but this same guard could spend every mucking morning hassling me about smiling and looking like a friendly woman. All the policy really did for me was make me miss my bus constantly. No beads. Apparently they thought beaded jewelry was gang related. Nothing says hardened criminal like matching bead bracelets that say BFFs 3. We once had a rule that we could only go to the bathroom during class, not in the breaks. Only during class. Really weird that this is the reverse of most bathroom policies being brought up here. Was there a reason for it? I was wearing a regulation uniform jacket in a classroom during winter that had no heating. The teacher demanded I remove my jacket and I refused because I was cold. She sent me to the headmistress. I had uniforms in my school with much the same policy, but we had no regulation coats with a rule that stated the moment you entered through the doors you take your coats off, no argument. I live in Canada where most of the days in the winter it was -20 with a wind chill of -30 and you had to take your coat off before you entered the school and put it on after you left the foyer. The ironic thing was I was a cringy dweeb who thought wearing a trench coat to school was cool and hip, and the teachers and principal had no problem me wearing that because it was formal wear and went with the school uniform. Mind you, it was a tattered old thing I found at a Goodwill for $5. Toilet paper rationing. This was in 1997/98 BTW. Apparently the high school girls' room was going through too much toilet paper, so the dean, a woman, stood outside the door and distributed a few squares of 1-ply institutional toilet paper to us as we went in. If she noticed toilet paper on the floor, our ration got cut down. If we asked for more for bigger jobs, we were told to save it for home. There were several episodes of girls stuck in stalls until friends could beg for more TP because of period messes or unexpected bowel incidents. The dean wouldn't even hand it over. She would go in the bathroom and pass it a few squares at a time over the door. If you didn't catch it as it fell and it landed on the floor, well, that's your fault and you're not getting more. If you used more than she thought necessary, tough luck. Go to class with blood/poop on your body. It took about a week of extremely angry parents coming to the school and calling both the school and the school board. But we finally got our toilet paper back, unlimited. How did we celebrate? By peeing her car, of course. Did they not stop to think about why teenage girls specifically were going through that amount of toilet paper? Edit. Do just want to clarify that not all teenage girls experience periods. And not all teenagers who experience periods are girls. Still, about 98% of people using the girls' bathroom are going to need a lot of toilet paper at some point in their lives. Different staircases for boys and girls. Edit. Wow. This blew up. To clarify, this rule was enforced purely with the idea that good boys and girls don't talk to each other. The general air in the school was don't have anything to do with the opposite gender. I was in this school for only 2 years, and coming from other good code school, this really weirded me out. Also, the guys would just act creepy even for a simple "can you please move out of the way." I believe this awkwardness could be prevented if there wasn't such an obvious separation between the genders. Edit 2. It wasn't a religious school, just a general public school. Edit 3. No skirts. The uniform was similar to a salwa camis. Catholic school. Rule. No duct tape on clothing. Reason. Some girls thought they could get past the no rip jeans rule by covering the tears with duct tape. It became a fad and everyone started doing it, so it got banned. A kid in my app literature class found a loophole and made an entire outfit out of red and black duct tape. I mean shorts, a shirt and a jacket and shoes. When the school tried to suspend him, they couldn't because the rule was no duct tape on clothes. It said nothing about clothes made out of duct tape. He won the argument and even wore the outfit a few more times to say frick you to the school and principals. Lol. Edit. This is as popular as it'll ever be. Take that, Principal Conrad. Really though, to answer a regularly asked question, ripped jeans were an issue because they made the school look trashy, not cause they showed skin. However, there were many other rules to enforce no excessive skin be shown. We would get suspended for rips in our clothes and also for duct tape on clothes, both for the same reason. It was trashy mayo. At my school, duct tape was the de facto punishment for having large holes in your pants. Holes were allowed providing they were not on the inner thigh and were less than 4 inches in diameter. One particular professor at my university would lock the door a minute after class began. If you had to leave to go to the bathroom, you couldn't get back in. Somehow this ancient fossil is still teaching and pulling similar crap. Had the same professor for 3 different classes that did basically this. He would shut the door and pull the window shade down as soon as the clock struck whatever time the class started. Anyone that came in after that, he would write their name down and mark them late. 3 lates and you grade would be dropped a whole letter grade from an A to B, C to D, etc. It was a stupid rule because my college campus was very spread out. So if you were someone that had back-to-back classes all over campus, you would almost guarantee to be late. I'm pretty sure he was forced to stop doing that because there was a semester where half the class was failing just because they were late one too many times. Dildos were banned. The school never thought they would have to print those words. You would think it was a given until a senior bought 100 dildos and snuck them around the school every day for 2 weeks straight. I love how utterly weird some kids can be. I imagine that was a very expensive prank. I'm not familiar with the financials of this, but 100 anything must cost a fair bit. Edit. So my venture in dildo economics is going to be the most karma I earn all year. Great. My school made it compulsory to wear uniform in online classes. Video, off. Girls weren't allowed to show their ankles. The dean had a pack of socks in her office she would give the students and make them wear. Only girls though. This was the 2000s. Someone stop those animals. Fear showing their ankle, sir. Fear 7-year-old girls. My high school decided to ban women's athletic shorts one day, which was ridiculous for many reasons. The next day every girl showed up in athletic shorts, and the rule was removed by second block. My high school principal was a stickler for the dress code rules. Mostly for girls of course. She would stand in the hallway and just look for violations. If your shorts were shorter than your fingertips you had to go change. Yet cheerleaders were allowed to wear their cheer uniforms, which were very short skirts. No hate on those girls, but how is that fair? The exact same thing happened at my school. No leaving the dorm, unless it's for a fire alarm. I went to boarding school from the age of 7. That rule meant we couldn't get out of our dormitory to have a wee in the night. We had a plastic tub one of the girls brought in and went in that. Then we had to smuggle the tub to the bathroom in the morning without matron seeing. Stupid bloody rule. Edit. Everyone is saying pee out the door or pee on the floor. Just imagine the punishments we got for misbehaving. Doing anything against matron would have never crossed our minds. Also this was 80s, early 90s. Southern England. Our punishments were pretty awful, but I survived. We all did. I'm still in touch with some of the girls I boarded with back then. We have our scars, but we're a tough lot. Second edit. Dad was in the army and they moved around a lot, so being sent away was for stability and consistency. I would have thrown it in their face. That's straight up child abuse. Dumbest rule. Zero tolerance for fighting. This meant both the kid who started the fight and the kid who got beat on were both suspended. If the kid who got beat on just took it, he was just sent home for the rest of the day. If he dared to fight back, he was suspended for a week, just like the kid who started the fight. Here's the truly stupid part. The school administrators couldn't explain how this led to more brutal fights. If you're going to get in trouble anyway, make it worth your while, mayo. It's stupid. I got bullied a lot and almost got suspended because I was making trouble and getting into fights. Why are you punishing me for getting bullied? Like I legit was minding my own business and people started harassing and beating me and I literally didn't fight back. God, I'm still get angry about that. Still angry that she also lied to my dad and said I was the one who started it all. Then he proceeded to ground and beat me, and she knew that what's going to happen. You could see her face of disgust when looking at me. Why is getting bullied by my classmates not enough? Marking hell. Duck that school. I got detention for pooping more than 10 minutes, but I have severe stomach cramps and I asked why, and they had no answer. Got chastised once by a female teacher in front of the entire classroom because I was late to return to class. She accused me of visiting other classrooms, talking to my friends. Said she was going to ask every other teacher in the school where I had been and who had seen me. I kept telling her over and over that no, I was just in the bathroom. She didn't believe me. I very loudly explained the truth where pretty much everyone could hear, since everyone already heard her accusing me that I was on my period, and shoved TP up my hatchet wound because I didn't have a tampon. But if she likes, I can pull it out to prove it. Shut her up pretty mucking fast. My friend nearly got suspended for wearing a trench coat. It was the late 90s. Probably didn't help that he had long hair, was shy, and weird. My school had a rule against trench coats, but it was never specific, so at one point my brother got a new winter coat, and it happened to be long, and they wouldn't let him wear it because they classified it as a trench coat. I don't think it helped he also had long hair and was a loner. Dude, those kids from Columbine weren't even in the trench coat Mayfair. The kids who were in it were just weird goth stalks. Dylan and Eric wore them on the day to hide their weapons, and then America freaked out about trench coats and goths. All the other kids were their pumped up kicks. Students must keep their hair short. My high school had that rule. One of my friends refused to cut his hair and got sent to the principal because his hair was over his ears. Came back the next day shaved like a skinhead. He said she threatened to have Father Jim cut my hair if I don't get it cut. No ducking way am I getting touched by a priest. I went to a Christian school for a bit. They didn't like the argument that I shouldn't have to shave or cut my hair since Jesus didn't. This rule was heavily enforced at my school. If your hair was too long, the teacher would cut a line down the middle of your head with a pair of scissors, so you have no choice but to get a haircut. This was only for boys, by the way. So many. You weren't allowed to wear a coat or a backpack, always freezing with tons of books. No card games at all. 5 minutes between classes, sprawling one-story building, barely leaves time to pee. Wow. Look at Mr. Free Time over here with 5 whole minutes. I only got 4. If you were caught on your phone, they'd take it until the end of the week. You'd get it back at 3:30 on Friday. Parents went mental and a few even came together and sent bills through for part of the phone bills. They ditched that rule after 2 weeks. Edit. Phones were kept overnight in the school and the office until that Friday if they were confiscated. No safe or anything, just in a plastic box. No getting it back at the end of the day. You just had to go 4 days without a phone, even at home. Just in case there's any confusion around that, lol. We had to pay $5 at the end of the day to get our phones back from the office after they got taken. Most teachers would just give it back at the end of class, but the butthole teachers loved turning them into the office. Conservative Christian college. A group of us played Age of Empires one weekend. They didn't like it and called a meeting. Everyone involved got misdemeanors on their records. There was nothing in the handbook about it being against the rules. The only person that didn't get any punishment was the son of the president, even though he was just as involved as the rest of us. Was quite interesting, explaining the write-up on my record when I transferred. You got a misdemeanor for what? What exactly did they find to be offensive about it? As far as I know, there's nothing in AoE that seriously conflicts with the Bible.